You are standing in the shower. The water is warm. Everything is fine. And you are having a full argument with someone who is not there. You are winning, by the way. You always win these. Your comebacks are sharp. Your logic is perfect. The imaginary person across from you has completely run out of things to say. There is only one small problem. This conversation is never going to happen. And even if it did, you would forget every brilliant line the moment it mattered. So why does your brain do this? Why does it keep staging tiny plays no one will ever watch? And why are the conversations you rehearse the most almost always the ones you will never actually have? You have ever practiced a text message out loud, argued with your boss in the car, or explained yourself perfectly to someone who fell asleep 3 hours ago? This one is for you. Because rehearsing conversations feels like preparation. It feels productive. It feels like you are getting ready. But most of the time, you are not getting ready for anything. You are just stuck on replay. To understand why, you have to know one strange fact about your brain. It is not really built to live in the present. It is built to predict the future. Your brain is a prediction machine. All day quietly, it is running tiny simulations. What happens if I say this? How will they react? What could go wrong? It is trying to keep you safe by seeing the future before it arrives. For most of human history, this was extremely useful. If you could imagine the lion before you met the lion, you lived longer. Prediction was survival. The problem is we do not have that many lions anymore. So the same machinery built to survive predators now spends its time on a much scarier threat: other people's opinions of us. And this is the first reason we rehearse. Your brain treats a difficult conversation like a lion. It wants to simulate the danger before it happens. So it runs the scene again and again, hoping to find the version where nothing goes wrong. It sounds helpful. Prepare for the hard talk. Plan what to say. But here is the catch. Real conversations do not follow the script. The other person has their own brain, their own mood, and absolutely no idea about the speech you wrote for them. So you can rehearse for an hour, walk into the moment, and the other person opens with something you did not predict at all. And your beautiful script quietly falls apart. Which brings us to the second reason, and this one is sneakier. A lot of the time, we are not rehearsing the future at all. We are rerunning the past. Think about the conversations that loop the hardest. Usually it is not tomorrow's meeting. It is the argument from 3 days ago. The comments someone made. The moment you froze and thought of the perfect reply 4 hours too late. Your brain hates unfinished business. When something feels emotionally incomplete, it keeps the file open, hoping you will come back and finish it. And rehearsing feels like finishing it, even though nothing is actually being resolved. This is why you can win the same argument 40 times in your head and still feel like you lost. Because your brain is not looking for the perfect sentence. It is looking for a feeling of closure it never got. And closure is a tricky thing. Sometimes the only place we can get it is from the other person, and they are not offering. So the brain tries to manufacture it alone, in the shower at 2 a.m. on the drive home. It is like trying to end a phone call when the other person keeps talking. You say goodbye. They keep going. You say goodbye again. The conversation refuses to close, so your brain just keeps holding the line. The third reason is about something we all secretly crave: control. Real conversations are terrifyingly unpredictable. You can be kind and still be misunderstood. You can be right and still lose. You can say the perfect thing and watch it land completely wrong. There is no undo button. But in your heads you are the writer, the director, and every actor. You control the lightings. You decide when the other person pauses. You get to make them finally understand you, which real people are annoyingly reluctant to do. So rehearsing gives you a small, warm illusion of control. For a few minutes, the messy, uncertain social world becomes a stage you fully run. That feels good. That is why it is so hard to stop. The trouble is, control in your head does not transfer to real life. You do not actually get better at the conversation. You just get more attached to one specific version of how it should go. And then, if the real moment ever comes, it does not match your version, and it feels almost like a betrayal. You practiced. You prepared. And reality still refused to read your notes. Now here is the strangest part. The conversations we rehearse the most are usually the ones we are least likely to actually have. You are not usually rehearsing the easy chat with a friend. You are rehearsing the confrontation you are avoiding. The apology you are too proud to give. The truth you are scared to say out loud. In other words, rehearsing can quietly become a substitute for doing. Your brain gets to feel the intensity of the conversation, the courage, the honesty, without any of the actual risk. Is emotional dress rehearsal for a play that never opens. And the more you rehearse it, the more finished it feels, which means the less you feel you need to actually go through with it. So the imaginary version becomes a kind of comfortable trap. Safe, controlled, endlessly editable, and completely disconnected from the real relationship you are actually worried about. This is why some conversations loop for years. Not weeks. Years. A thing someone said to you a decade ago can still occasionally get a fresh performance in your head, with new lighting and an improved comeback. That leads to the real cost of all this, the part we usually do not notice. Rehearsing feels free. It feels like it costs nothing. But it quietly takes something from you, your attention right now. While you are rehearsing yesterday's argument, you are not really here. You are eating dinner and not tasting it. You are walking somewhere beautiful and seeing none of it. You are with people who love you while mentally on stage with someone who annoyed you. The conversation is not even happening, but it is stealing the real moments that are. And your body does not know the difference. When you rehearse a stressful talk, your heart rate can rise, your jaw can tighten, your stress chemicals can climb. All for a fight that exists only between your ears. So you get all the exhaustion of a hard conversation with none of the resolution. You feel like you have been through something because in a way you have. Your body just fought a battle that no one else attended. Multiply that by every day, every loop, every imaginary courtroom where you deliver your closing statement to someone who has genuinely forgotten the entire thing, and it adds up. So what do you actually do about it? And here is where I have to be honest with you, because the usual advice is a little bit useless. Telling an over-rehearsing brain to just stop thinking is like telling a waterfall to just stop watering. It is not a switch. The goal is not to delete the habit. The goal is to catch it, because the rehearsing itself is not the enemy. It is a signal. Every imaginary conversation is your brain waving a small flag that says, something here matters to me and it is not resolved. So instead of fighting the loop, get curious about it. When you catch yourself mid-speech in the shower, pause and ask, who is this really about? And what am I actually trying to feel by the end of it? Sometimes the honest answer is, I want to feel understood. Or I want to feel respected. Or I want to feel like I did not just let that slide. And that is useful because now you know what you are actually chasing. And once you know what you are chasing, you get a real choice. Maybe the conversation is worth having for real. Maybe you write the message and actually send it. Maybe you realize the person you are arguing with does not even deserve the encore. The point is to move the conversation out of the endless rehearsal room and into a decision. Have it or release it. Both of those end the loop. Only replaying keeps it alive forever. When you cannot have the conversation and you should not keep replaying it, there is a third quiet move. Let it be unfinished. On purpose. This is weirdly hard because your brain hates loose ends. But a lot of life is loose ends. Some conversations never get their perfect resolution, and you are allowed to survive that. You do not need the last word to move on. In fact, needing the last word is often the thing keeping you on stage. The moment you decide you do not need it, the imaginary audience quietly gets up and leaves. So the next time you catch yourself deep in a conversation with someone who is not in the room, do not panic and do not shame yourself. Shame just starts a whole new argument, this time with you as the villain. Just notice, though, I am rehearsing again. Something here matters to me. That single moment of noticing is the whole trick. It turns the loop from a trap into a piece of information. Because you are not broken for doing this. Everyone does it. Somewhere right now, a completely reasonable person is in their car, delivering an incredible speech to a windshield. Your brain is just doing what it was built to do. Predict, protect, and try to control an unpredictable world full of people it desperately wants to be okay with. You do not have to win every imaginary argument. You just have to notice you are having one and gently, kindly step off the stage. The shower is warm. The water is real. And the conversation, honestly, can wait.